Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game of today's LTA 2025 matchup.
Conditioning phase going head to head.
Yeah, I think the one thing that maybe gives you a little bit of hope if you are that DSG fan is that they are coming off a win. They took down TL, so that maybe is building a bit of confidence there. I got to interview XU ahead of this game, and he was saying that their scrims are going pretty well. They don't expect to be the top team, but they also definitely did not expect to be 1-6. They feel like they are better than that. They feel like their performance in scrims has indicated that they should be better than that. So we're going to see if they can actually bring that to the table here today and push C9 a little bit.
Well, man, this draft is going fast. We are already almost through the entire first half. Okay, let's catch up real quick. We've got Vi, Yone, Callista, Rumble, Jason, Varus banned away. Immediate lock on the first pick, Gwen for C9 up there in the top lane, presumably for Thanatos, especially with then the Sejuani following it up for Blaver. They're also going to lock in the Corki there. On the other side, it's Skarner, Azir, and Vladimir locked in for Disguised.
So this makes 8 straight unique picks now for Castle. So he has not yet played a champion a second time. Assuming it is Vladimir top, unless they're doing something really, really weird here. But I can't imagine how it wouldn't be. Even if it is Azir top, that would be new too. So 8 for 8.
It's still 8 out of 8.
Yeah, but that's crazy. Yeah, and I actually think that this is the best meta we've ever had in top lane. And all the time that I've been casting LCS and now LTA,
it's been the absolute value of jungle and AD carry with 2 picks in each role during positioning.
You love Varus in Israel?
Oh my god, almost as much as I love Vi versus whatever she's in Xin Zhao every game. It's incredible. Okay. But no, I agree with you. Top lane has been fantastic, man.
Varus and Israel are both banned.
And that is beautiful. I hope they stay banned next game as well. Yeah. I love seeing a little bit more variety. And like you're saying, man, Castle has been
carry bans. Wow.
the king of variety here so far. Yeah, tons of pressure on this AD carry pool. Varus, Ezreal, Lucian, Kaisa, Callista. Lots of stuff banned away here. Misfortune is one of those ones that we have seen played so far that is not on the very robust ban list here for this game number 1. So wouldn't be super surprised to see that locked in.
Yeah.
That is going to mean Scary Jerry will depend on XU largely to put targets in position for those bullet times, because Azir and Vladimir not going to be able to really lock somebody down that well in.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're also going to be looking for something, like an Alistar or a Rel or whatever coming out from Hui for that last pick to also help to facilitate that. The MF, not surprising, it is the second most played for Scary Jerry so far this split. The only thing he's played more is the Varus, and the Varus is obviously off the table.
Yeah.
Sven going to be going in towards the Jhin. They are going to grab the Alistar. Wouldn't be shocked to see something like a Rel or a Khan here coming in through as that last pick for Hui. Leona, definitely another option. Poppy, if you want to kind of be more that denial sort of play, you can go that way. It doesn't have that same lockdown for the MF, but it definitely can shut down a lot of the plays. So it really just depends what angle they want to go for here. Cloud9, obviously, if you watch their content or listen to Sven, they always call Jhin Mr. Useful because it is not very useful in their opinion. But I do think that Jhin, when paired with another AD carry like the Corki, can be really strong. They have a really powerful scaling comp here. Double AD carries, a couple of big engaged tanks in the front line. Thanatos on the Gwen obviously can be a threat in that side lane. And it is going to be the Rakan, and not a big surprise there for Hui. It does give them another form of engage. It's that snap engage that's very hard to stop. And if you can lock up the Jhin or the Corki, get them into that follow-up CC from XU, have the bullet time coming over the top, especially with the Vladimir ultimate amping all of that damage, really can be very threatening as a combo. Of course, that does depend on you being able to execute that and on you not getting blown out in lanes prior to that, where we're expecting Cloud9 to have really big advantages kind of across the board. I mean, when you look at it on paper, there's not a single role that you won't favor Cloud9 in.
Right. I mean, the Lounge was even talking about specifically the superiority of Cloud9 solo lanes with Thanatos and Loki just smurfing in their roles, and I 100% agree with what they're talking about. On the other side for Disguised, one thing that I think has to be focused is Scary Jerry's positioning. We've seen in a lot of Disguised losses, the way that those end up accelerating forward is Scary Jerry getting caught out, not being in the right spot, maybe being in the right spot, but a second too early or a second too late. And on a champion like Misfortune, having having the right angle, having that right positioning is night and day difference.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it, right? When that CC lands, you've got to be there, and you have got to have the bullet time rip in as soon as it lands, because you're not necessarily going to get another opportunity, especially when you can be easily pressured by multiple champs that Cloud9 do have. You know, the Alistar can be in your face, the Sejuani can be on your face, and we have got to check in on the top lane. Flash Ignite for Castle with the Conqueror versus the Ignite TP for Thanatos, and he is playing Grasp. I would not be surprised to see if he's playing Inspiration Secondary for Biscuits. I want to double check on that. He is, in fact, this is the rune page that you take on Gwen when you think it's going to be a hard early matchup, to kind of just skip past that.
And it looks like we're not going to have anything here at level 1. So Disguise picked up their first win of the split last week, and it looks like it did wonders for Scary Jerry's confidence. Let's listen in.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a lot of like imposter syndrome, because it isn't really like that big of a difference between tier 2 and tier 1. Tier 1 is just like they're a lot tighter, they review their games a lot more. But, you know, I was doing really well in tier 2, so coming to tier 1, I expected to kind of bring that over, but I had to get over the whole like, oh, I'm against tier 1 players now. But it's still the same game. It's League of Legends.
We knew coming into TL that like, we beat these guys so many times in scrims. Like, we're just as good as them individually. Like, I'm as good as Jan. He just has more experience than me. You know, we're a good team. We're going to show it. We'd be 8-0 right now if it was a best of 3.
I mean, I love the comments. The 8-0 one, I think he's definitely singing jest.
You have to be embellishing a little bit, right?
If you watch the interview, the 8-0 one, is kind of said, haha, but he definitely is very, very confident. The TL statement, though, that to me sounded like he was saying that, you know, with his whole chest, right? Like, he was saying, yeah, I'm just as good as Jan. And that's something you got to prove when people are looking at Jan as the best AD carry in the league. So we'll see if Scary Jerry can back up some of that confidence. But I do love to see it. You know, whether you think he's delusional, whether you think he's right, I don't really care. I do think it is so important as a pro gamer to be able to have that faith in yourself. And if you don't have that confidence that you can be the best, I truly believe that you never will be. So I do think it's important for them to still have that faith, still have that belief, and not get down in the dumps. So it's nice to see a team that is obviously struggling, still feeling like they got some good vibes and are still believing in themselves.
Greatness is in the mind, right? Like, also in the skill, of course, but you have to have it
mental game.
As a mental state as well. So let's go ahead and check in on the state of our lanes here, as Thanatos does have the wave stacking up here in the top lane. During the interview, we kind of saw a little bit of level 1 trading between him and Castle. Thanatos was able to grab, I think, either 1 or 2 grass procs off of that extended trade, starting with the skip and slash. And now he's just going to continue that work up here, making sure that he's keeping the pressure on this Vladimir early. Remember, Vladimir kind of sucks as a champion before level 5. He's okay then up through level 8, and at level 9 he really turns on.
Yeah, no, absolutely scales very, very well. I will say, in top lane in some of these 1v1s, especially when they are taking Ignite, it can be surprising the amount of pressure he is able to put on just playing around the empowered Q, right? And that's really what it is all about. You know, can you, as the opponent, kind of dodge these empowered Qs? Thanatos did a really good job of just kind of using his wave clear to be able to keep this pressure on and to be able to shove in and get this reset, because we're going to see if Diggs is going to go for this, if XU, excuse me, is going to go for this. They have spotted him out.
Warded out. Okay, this could be dicey. Now that they know he's here, I feel like this is a tough one. Who he wants to try to dive in there, but immediately going to be knocked up into the air. Vulcan doing a great job. It's first blood over to Cloud9. Disguised will get what they came for, but the cost is extreme as XU tries to escape, and that cow is about to become a carnivore. XU slams him into the wall to try to buy a little time, but Vulcan's going straight to the bank with it.
Yeah, Vulcan gets a double kill, walks away with the blue buff as well. My only criticism, maybe Sven could have used the heal a little bit earlier. He used it after the Ignite went down, and that maybe could have given him a bit better of a chance to actually survive. But this was beautifully played, especially by Vulcan. We've watched this one more time. They're able to dodge out on the Q there from XU, and then as they're going forward, the Ignite comes through, then the heal goes out. So a little bit late there, but Vulcan, you know, knocking Scary Jerry back, flashing over onto the other side, getting the CC down onto Huhi, locking him up in the turret was incredibly well played. They defend the dive expertly. And that is a very good for C9.
And I feel like in this first weekend of Fearless play, we've been seeing some real class act Alistar games. Yesterday, I thought that Busio's Alistar in FlyQuest series was absolutely impeccable, and now Vulcan is starting off with a great Alistar game himself in the first 5 minutes here.
Yes, sir. Got to be feeling good about that. And I was going to say, you know, before we got to that dive, Thanatos, you know, was doing a really good job of actually getting the push. And when you get the push, as someone who has TP versus no TP, as that is our commissioner right there talking about these two teams going streaking.
I'm not responsible for this. I will not pay the fine.
6 straight wins for Cloud9 and a streak of 1 win for DSG. Both teams streaking, technically.
Yeah, one is a streak of 1.
They won 100% of their last game.
That is...
That's facts.
That is a true statement.
That is just facts
of
right
mathematical legitimacy.
Yes, sir. But yeah, I keep getting interrupted on this. I want to talk a little bit about how this went, but we're just going to fight again. Never mind.
Yep, we're going right back into it as Blabber makes his way into the top side now with a 3v2. Scary Jerry under pressure. Going to get stunned up there by the Sejuani. Jerry in some danger.
Ooh, nice
that
barrier.
fourth shot does not do it. The barrier just enough to keep Jerry alive.
Yep, going to be able to have that there. XU now spotting Blabber, moving over, and we are going to have Scary Jerry go back to base. There's no way he can stay around. Obviously, it would just be an easy dive to pull off. And he's going to have to come back out from base. Well, Blabber does start up the grubs here. They do have push from mid lane from Abadaga, but I still don't really think that you're going to be able to fight this.
And Blabber's like an entire level ahead in the jungle right now. He's level 6, and you can see XU only just past the beginning here of level 5 on the Skarner. Cloud9 has the whole party coming to the topside river. There is no way for the Skarner to try to contest this. That's all 3 of the first set of grubs going Cloud9's way.
And that's the cost of that attempted dive down on the bot side, right? Blabber was just full clearing, and if you go for a failed dive, he's going to take your camps, right?
Yeah.
He's going to go right over. He's going to be power farming. That is showing itself in the experience advantage, and now Blabber is just going to continue the invade here.
The aggressive Sejuani, meanwhile the 2v2 up there on the top side at the same time. He down to 40% HP, and that gives Blabber the green light to put the pressure on XU. Stuns him up and starts beating him down. You don't think of Sejuani as the chat champ in your face in the jungle, but right now XU's got to be careful. Does manage to smite his own red buff, make sure that Blabber can't steal it away, but the pressure from C9 continues.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure there from Blabber, but at the end of the day, well handled by XU. He survives, gets his ultimate out, and smites the red, right? So great job by XU, able to withstand that pressure. Had he died and lost his red, that is so bad. But in this situation, he's able to survive. He's just going to go down towards the Gromp, going to be able to continue farming that up and try to close the gap as far as that farm lead is concerned. Cloud9, of course, are opening up still quite a nice advantage here. Largely due to the farm in the bot lane, you know, the double kill as well for Vulcan, giving them a pretty good gold lead, and then Loki is up about 300 gold himself. We haven't checked in on this bot lane again, but it is pretty even once most of this does get picked up. You can see that Castle, you know, has his first Fiendish Codex, and over on the other side, you can already see the Hunting Guys has come through for Thanatos. And Thanatos really just kind of wanted to get through the early levels, get the push. He played heavily for the push. And I think DSG did a smart thing, which was just their swap. After you get pushed in, when you get pushed in and you have no TP, you can get lane locked very easily. Yeah. Which is basically your opponent TP's back with a buy advantage. You don't have any way to actually reset the wave, and you can no longer fight them because they've bought and you haven't. And so what they did was they actually just sent their Vladimir bot. They moved their bot lane top, and that allowed him to get a buy and not lose waves, which I think was really actually quite intelligent. And it's a good way to actually keep the Vladimir in a spot where he wasn't then locked in a lane falling behind.
Yeah. Now, back over here in mid, Loki does have that almost 1 kill worth of gold advantage compared to Abadaga here, just by nature of farming better. You can see he's already got the tier starting to stack that one up as Thanatos goes after Castle a little bit down here in bottom lane, but really not a whole lot to write home about. I feel like both of these two are probably going to need somebody else to intervene if they want to get a kill, considering they're both so durable with the drain tanking.
It's always funny too, because you can tell when people have missed cannons, right? Because it was only like a 6 CS advantage, but it was up to 250 gold, right?
Yeah.
That's
like,
not the cost of range minions. That is exactly Exactly.
All right, Vulcan stunned up into the wall. Scary Jerry with a nice bullet time, and immediately Exu's ready to follow. Sven under pressure. He needs a little bit more damage, but he cannot find it. Disguised. Oh my god, that is such a heartbreaker. They came so close on both kills, but they can't secure either one.
Yeah, that really sucks, especially because he flashed in after to try to finish off Sven, so he spends his flash at the end of that, trying to get that kill. You can see down here, Thanatos uses Ignite, as did Castle. They both traded ultimates here. Thanatos, of course, does have his TP back, but Castle wants to keep the push again to kind of try to lock him in. You want these extended lanes as the Vladimir where you're trading aggressively and then you're healing back up over and over and over, and you're slowly whittling them down until you can actually threaten these all-ins. And we'll see if he's going to be able to find one of those positions. But right now, Thanatos will just go back to base and likely just take a TP back. You can see he's going to TP right back down towards mid. And Sven is heading out towards that mid lane as well, as they're going to prepare for the next set of grubs. So they'll send Loki up towards top. They won't be able to join with Thanatos, but at the same time, as long as Thanatos keeps Castle locked in the bot lane, he can't join either. So they know that at worst it's a 4v4.
The disadvantage of only having the single teleport is something that doesn't occur a lot, I feel like, in pro play. Almost always the top laner is going to take that summoner spell, but once it's there, the team has to be playing around it. Otherwise, your opponents are just going to get advantage after advantage in these neutral situations. And it looks like Disguised is recognizing, hey, they're going to have man advantage. It's going to be rough. Let's just go ahead and swap objectives here, taking the first Drake. It is a very late first Drake, just about 11 minutes into the game, as Cloud9 has already secured the first of the second trio of grubs. Sven and Scary Jerry trading bullets back and forth here. The Deadly Flourish is not going to find a mark. No. Meanwhile, bottom side, Vulcan and Thanatos trying to scare Exu and Castle away from the Mountain Drake. The Mountain Drake is so tanky. It's so annoying to try to kill this thing in a decent amount of time. And the flash from Exu is forced out there as well. But now Huhi going in, trying to find a knock up here. Full spinning the ulti and everything on Vulcan, and that just looked weird.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like almost a little bit of a tilt play or a desperation play, because they thought they were going for this trade, but instead Blabber just takes the one grub, then starts to pull off, and the bot lane of C9 were able to force the flash off of Exu and push him off. So it became a no-trade situation. Then I feel like DSG is like, well, crap, we got to get something. So right? Then they try to force this play with Hui's ultimate in onto Vulcan, and they can't even get a play off of that. So now it's looking like they're likely to lose this dragon as well. We'll see if DSG can find an angle.
Vulcan wants to keep Exu away. Nice steal from Exu, though. Early smite from Blabber gets punished, but now Exu in some serious danger, as Cloud9 should be able to pick up a free kill on the Skarner without a flash. Abadaga also dropping in the picture-in-picture. You could see he was dueling with Loki in the top lane while this entire bottom side objective fight was happening, and C9 comes up big back-to-back.
Yeah, at least they get the dragon, question mark, but
that's a sorry consolation prize in the wake of what we just saw, man.
I mean, they got the dragon, but at the end of the day, it's more and more going C9's way, and we will see if they can kind of continue to extend that advantage. It is going to be very difficult for DSG from this far down. Likely to see this 1v1 up on the top side. Okay. And this is just Loki just straight up taking the fight here against Abadaga. He tries to go in with the E to actually see if he could find an ultimate, try to find some sort of angle, but Loki just Valk's back, and he decides not to really fully commit to it, so it's kind of this weird middle ground where then Loki gets him low enough with the rocket that he can just flash in and finish off the play.
I mean, Loki even missed the phosphorus bomb in that trade and still won. I feel like Abadaga had to flash first if he wanted to have any chance of leaving.
You need the ultimate.
As soon as Loki flashes in, you know that the auto will buffer even if you flash, so I guess the silver lining there is Abadaga still has his summoner spell, but that was a rough chain of events.
We're going to call that one the bronze lining.
Yeah, okay.
It's not good enough for a silver lining.
No, okay, that's fair. It's still got to pass its promotion series to get to the silver lining.
That's a bronze lining.
Not
right
exactly
there.
the greatest
You took the
play.
fight, you died, but you didn't use your flash. That's a bronze lining.
So it's still there. You can use it next time, and next time might be very soon. We do have C9 returning to the grub pit, wanting to take these last couple of them here, as the fifth one is secured by Blabber. Now Deadly Flourish onto Exu as Blabber and Vulcan are ready to be engaged. Three-man pulverized coming out from the Alistar. Abadaga Abadaga wants to knock him away. Meanwhile, the 1v1 down in the bottom lane as Castle takes out Thanatos, but C9's looking to take the fight up here on the top side. A little bit more damage is going to finish off Blabber, but he's still staying alive. Another re-engage coming out from Vulcan. The curtain call opens up, but nobody Undisguised is dead just yet. Sven keeps shooting, Sven keeps missing. Disguised wins out across the map.
Man, they've got to be so frustrated, though. C9 limping away with the smallest health bars again. Blabber got out of there with, what, like under 100 health, I want to say, when the fight was still going on. Then they had that previous play where both Sven and Vulcan got out with, 100 health or something like that as well. Loki now. Lying in wait is going to interrupt Abadaga. At least on the other side, they did get the kill. Castle wins out in that 1v1.
Castle win con.
Yep, the Castle win con, but it is definitely going to be a tough win con if they can't start getting some kills elsewhere, and Blabber is able to return and get that last grub.
Oh no, Abadaga, man. He is just... Loki is in charge, and Abadaga has to ask permission to walk up to the wave at this point, man. The Corki is running the show as Thanatos wants to put the pressure back on the Castle down here as he has returned to lane with his teleport. Riftmaker versus Riftmaker down there in the bottom side.
Yeah, and you can see Vulcan's getting down there, and they just forced the pool. So now it's actually really risky for Castle, who has no flash or ignite. I think they're going to dive a Castle on the bot side with Vulcan.
Yeah, Loki should just be dead up here. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, they are looking to make that play onto Castle, who wants to try to get away. A little bit more damage still required. He's about to get the empowered transfusion, but it's too little, too late. Thanatos gets revenge, 1-for-1 trade across the map.
Yeah, really good play there from Vulcan. Gets down towards that bottom side. As soon as the pool was used by Castle, Thanatos just had to trade aggressively, force out the pool, and then there's really nothing that Castle can do about this because he had already used his summoners in that 1v1, had used his ultimate in the 1v1. So Vulcan gets down there, is able to CC him. By the time the pool comes back up, there's no getting out. He was already dead to rights, so really well played there by Vulcan. Getting Thanatos back into a winning position in that 1v1. Not only gets him the kill, also gets him the tower. That is the entirety of the gold lead right there for him in that top lane.
It's the entirety of the gold lead. It's the entirety of the feats. Empowered Boots now locked up for Cloud9 here in game number 1 alongside a 3,000 gold lead 16 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. This is a game of a lot of like almosts, it feels like, for DSG, where they missed out on quite a few kills, and Blabber threatening there, and it's always that frustrating feeling in League of Legends because when you miss out on one kill, the next kill gets harder because your opponents keep getting stronger, and every time you lose a fight by those slim margins, the next one is harder and harder and harder, and that's happened multiple times, and now they're looking.
Yeah, they're going after Scary Jerry. Thanatos wants to go in with a little bit of needlework, needs a little more damage, and he ain't gonna find it. Now XU's about to be the one to pay the price. Sven takes him down. The curtain call looking for Jerry, and it's a double kill over to Sven. Mr. Useful finds his role, and the Jin gets paid.
Yeah, nicely done. Nails the ultimate there. Scary Jerry looked for the bullet time, but he realized the people in front of him just died. So now he has no one to actually block on the curtain call. So he had to get out of there in a hurry. DSG do at least take down the tower in the bot lane, so they're going to be able to get something back there for Abadaga. And Castle's holding up on that top side. Thanatos posturing pretty aggressively, but will back off as that tower does activate. And meanwhile, Blabber doing what Blabber does best, which is take these objectives, get ahead. He has just been farming up a storm.
Yeah, look at the CS discrepancy in the jungle.
We should contest this wave then. Coming. Okay, looking. Hey, I went so fast by the way. Yeah, I'm looking. Okay, we're looking maybe. Okay, nice, no guns.
Top post, can I coming?
Look, corner guys, look corner. Corner has flash. Yeah, just his corner though. I also. Corner 1 HP. Look at that.
Yeah, Ajil looking TP.
MF, no HP, no HP.
Ajil wanna push.
Nice. I'm going bottom now. Okay, heard.
Called their shot, hit their shot.
Yeah, really clean comms there from C9. Everything was super easy to understand. They were all on the same page. Nobody was panicking. Well played by them. And Sven, 19-9, Mr. Useful on Mr. Useful.
Yeah, it's actually not a bad score at all.
Not
for a character that they make fun of and meme about how he doesn't do anything. I would love to have a 70% win rate on a character that technically, I think I actually used to back when I played Skarner, because I used to always tell people he didn't do anything.
That's true.
So sometimes you just have to doubt your own champion enough. And then the reverse psychology kicks in, as now a ton of damage just completely deletes Huhi off of the Rift. And that means that Blabber Blabber is ready to drive this Herald straight on through mid lane. Tier 1 turret instantly destroyed. The Void Mites march and hop and jump their way onto the Tier 2, and now a second wave is ready to spawn. Meanwhile, Vulcan is continuing the fight, pressuring XU away from his red buff. This time around, the Scorpion will not be able to secure this minor objective in his own side of the jungle, and Cloud9 is really starting to choke Disguised out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 5k gold lead now. It is getting really tough. That mid lane Tier 2 is standing, but not with a lot of health. You know, kind of the lone bright spot it's feeling like so far in this game really was Castle, who was at least having some pressure on Thanatos. You know, got a solo kill on Thanatos, but it's just not really mattering at all. He's down 1.4k gold because of the towers, because of the team play. You know, C9 working really well together, winning out on these skirmishes, taking all of these major objectives and getting 6 scrubs. And when you're behind and your opponents have 6 scrubs, you tend to just get more and more behind.
Yeah, they both have a Riftmaker, but then Thanatos has Nashor's Tooth and Castle has that spooky little ghost thing. So not really very comparable there with the second item, as Abadaga summons up the Sun Disc, trying to survive as Blabber and Thanatos want to find the angle here on the Disguised mid laner. He has his jungler coming down to help him, but a little bit of needlework looks for the slow. Vulcan wants to catch. Oh, Blabber just barely doesn't have the range to land the Glacial Prison, but it does not matter. The rest of the team is there. Sven grabbing the first kill. The curtain call looks to farm the second, but he's not going to hit the shot, and Thanatos gets it. Now Huhi's got to try to run as Vulcan and Blabber take up positions in the enemy jungle. C9 is so far ahead now. They are just seeing champs, clicking champs, killing champs.
Yep, objective bounties spawning soon is always that. Oh, I hate to hear it. We do see Castle pushing up on the top side, but Otacon is going to be gone down here on the bottom side, and that is just going to be C9 getting further and further ahead. And it is not the GA Otacon, it is the much better one. They grab Ruinous, so they are going to be able to farm up those roses as Castle will be pushed back.
That's so tragic, man. Castle can't even collect the objective bounty on the top lane Tier 1 turret, the most useless turret in the game. You're thinking, okay, at least we can get this. At least we can trade that for the Otacon.
No,
but
sir.
Loki arrives in time to shut down the plan, prevent that little bit of a surge of gold. And this Corki quietly 1-1-1, having a great time, full stacked on the tier. As soon as he builds the Manamune, it's immediately going to evolve into the Muramana. That's another problem in its own right. 6,500 gold. Ruinous Otacon, 12 billion flowers, every grub, the Rift Herald charging into 2 turrets. Disguised has their work cut out for them.
Oh yeah, you can say that again.
Disguised has their work cut out for them.
Thank you, appreciate that. DSG has 2 roses, by the way, only 2. And
2.
it's 54 on the other side, which is,
I think
quick
that's
maths, quite a bit more than 2.
I think that's the greatest discrepancy of the roses that I've seen yet
too.
in a pro game. Maybe in any game.
Maybe DSG just hates roses.
Yeah, I mean, I take personal offense to that. I've used that icon as my profile picture since like the very beginning of League of Legends.
Maybe it's something to do with you.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, Disguise, come on, fellas. Let's be a little bit
Kinda
polite
messed
here.
up.
Yeah. Well, C9 is definitely not taking too kindly to Disguised either. They are completely forcing them out of their own jungle, as Huhi, Scary Jerry, and XU all just have to run back inside the base walls. This Tier 2 turret that they slammed the Herald into earlier, that thing is already gone. C9 has taken nearly everything off of the Rift outside of the Disguised base, and there's still 3 minutes until Baron spawns.
Yeah, that is pretty tough. 8,000 gold lead now, and I mean, the roses are always interesting to me to look at. You know, for DSG, they have 2 adaptive force from their roses, and we're not even going to bother talking about the XP. On the other side, it's 29.4, right? So an amp tome is 20. You know, a longsword is 10, right? It's like all of these things that you're getting so much additional stats from that. It is a lot of power, right? When you put it in those terms, you think about how much gold that is worth per player. It is a ton.
The gold lead's actually like 10,000. It's not 7.5 because of just the additive
and
stats
all the XP
from
as
all
well.
Of that. Yeah, it's. I mean, every individual level in League of Legends gives you what, around like 500 golds worth of stats. Oh boy, hold on. I can't even talk about it before Huhi's already down. Abadaga throws out the ulti, trying to keep C9 at bay, but XU is under pressure. The Sun Disc isn't going to hold. The Skarner tries to flash away. A little bit more damage is required, and Loki provides. Sven opens up the curtain call, then just gives the emote. He thought he would need to snipe down the enemy jungler, but it's already taken care of by a shot in the air from his own mid laner.
Yeah, opens up the curtains. That is too bright. Closes that back
pull
up.
right back together. Get the blackout curtains in there.
Yes, sir. You don't want that glare on your monitor.
The sun is too bright early on in the morning.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
we do not want that natural wake-up call.
No, sir.
And it is not a bright morning in disguised skies right now, man.
Stormy skies,
all
man.
All cloud and gloom and doom,
Yep.
and just, it's a good day to go back
looking
to
like it's
sleep
about that
here
time.
in game one. Yeah, but it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll go ahead and call
let's
it
call
here.
that a day.
It's tough for them, but I mean, hey, it's first versus last from our first phase, and Cloud9 is making it look exactly as you would expect. Castle wants to go in and find the burst here onto Thanatos, maybe start this fight off right, but it's still going to be a 1-for-1 trade at the very start. Vulcan needs to get away from Abadaga. Nice use of the Deadly Flourish to root up the disguised mid laner, but Blabber's got to be a little bit careful here. Castle is the main threat, does get the empowered transfusion, but Sven is fearless, continuing to walk forward, as it looks like we'll just settle with a 1-for-1.
Yeah, I mean, Castle definitely is strong, but, you know, after you use the summoners, after you use the ultimate, there's a lot of CC over on that C9 side, and it can definitely be very dangerous to try to push forward into it. You know, you get comboed up by Vulcan, you get CC chained by Blabber, you're going to get burst down, you're going to get taken out. But Castle definitely making the Vladimir look pretty legit here. Yeah. He has been, you know, a very flexible player. He brought out the Orc. Even in that game that he brought out the Orc and it was looking really rough for the squad, he was still able to get some pressure going. And Castle, I think, has been one of the bright spots for DSG. Has been talked about by a lot of pro top laners, you know, as a really strong laner.
Well, he's going to have to do a ton of heavy lifting for his team to have
Maybe
a chance.
give him 2 pentakills and they can have a chance.
Right, 2 pentakills, full conga line style.
Yep.
Get him up to 6 item Vladimir, including selling boots.
Got a shot.
Might be a shot, but right now, C9's not looking to let him have it as Vulcan immediately locks up Huhi and Thanatos skips over the wall to provide the follow-up. Castle tries to get away with the pool, but he's not going to have the survivability in time. XU's now the next target as C9 fully pulls away from the Baron and is ready to engage in the fight. Vulcan with a nice headbutt pull to knock XU up into the air as Sven follows for a 4th shot and sends that Scorpion straight to hell. He wants to re-engage, and finally they're going to shut down Loki. Sven very low, and Scary Jerry gets the kill, but now it's Huhi and Abadaga against the remainder of Cloud9. Scratch that, it's just Huhi, and Blabber and Vulcan are not going to let that stand. It's a 2-for-5. C9 gets the ace.
Yeah, C9 does get the ace. At the very least, they got a couple kills on the other side, but this is the Baron, and this is very likely the end of the game on the subsequent Baron push. DSG honestly doing a pretty good job from the deficit in this fight that they have already built up. You can see Vulcan just coming around the wall there, does get the initial engage there onto Huhi. They are able to follow it up. Thanatos and Loki pile in. Castle goes down very early, and you're kind of thinking at this point that this could just be a clean ace, that this could be absolute domination. XU then pulling Blabber back. He flashes over the wall to avoid the rest of the bullet time, and then the Scary Jerry getting some good damage out on Thanatos in the back. Even after XU dies, look at this from Abadaga. Flash follow, really good engage, catches both of the AD carries here. Then the immediate follow-up from Huhi comes through. Scary Jerry knows he's going to be going down, but is standing, is fighting, is able to help them get another kill. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still a 5-for-2. It is the Baron, but it is now C9 on the push here, and they have everything they need to close this one out. To me, this is going to be almost impossible to defend unless there's some massive mistakes here from C9, but we'll see how aggressive they want to play it.
Yeah, I feel like it requires a blunder at this point from C9 to lose. Worth noting, though, Abadaga actually the highest damage of any champion on either team in the last team fight. That shuffle that you pointed out during the replay was massive. It's what allowed them to get the kills on the 280 carries. But now C9 is back in business, and business is booming up here in the top lane as they're putting the work in on this remaining Tier 2 turret. Meanwhile, Thanatos just standing by over in mid, ready to crash a wave into the first Tier 3 that C9 looks to take down in mid. Castle's going to be the one to walk over and try to respond to that, but the Tier 3 turret is already at death's door.
Yeah, I mean, it is really, really hard when you're in these spots. Basically, you have to bounce it back and forth between these waves and just fully attack and clear out the one wave, then get back towards mid lane as that wave comes in, because the waves aren't synced up here for C9, so they're going to look.
He wanted to go in, but he misses it. He wanted the quickness with a grand entrance, but he can't quite find Loki. Now Vulcan gets disengaged, but that's Abadaga's ulti only for the enemy support. Disguised is forced off of the top lane Tier 3 turret, while mid is already broken in half. Thanatos has claimed the inhibitor, but for before the fight even fully finishes. Now the top lane inhib's about to drop as well, and C9 puts super minions in 2 lanes at the same time. Now Disguised, down a lot of their big ultis, are going to have to try to continue to hold.
Yeah, and look at bot lane. They even have bot lane on a slow push there, so Thanatos is just going to go over towards bot lane. He's going to be able to catch that wave, push that in, and they're going to look to triple inhib. DSG trying to fight.
Okay, XU looking to find Blabber, but that's not the right target. The Sejuani is so tanky. Vulcan now just trying to play a little bit of interruption as XU is already killed, and now Castle's going to be your next target. Thanatos joins up with the rest of C9, and the needlework is doing the work right there. Castle down as Scary Jerry and Huhi try to get away, but Gwen is not going to tolerate it. A little bit more damage, pulls Disguise back just slightly to try to get the kill, but it's Sven, the only one adding more stats to that kill column. C9 made this look exactly like you would expect it to look. 22-6, 29 minutes in, they slam game 1.
Nicely done there by C9, coming out strong here in game number 1. There were some moments of hope there for DSG.